Hi everybody, welcome to week 2/3. We had some issues last week with sending our week 2 video, so some people did get it, some people got cut off, and some people say they haven't gotten it at all. So I apologize for all these issues, but that's kind of why we did this class this way, so please be patient with us. We're trying. It's just very hard to send a large video like this, so we're trying to find the best way. We're looking at a different way now, and if that works out, we'll get that handled and, you know, probably do the class again in the beginning of January. So just bear with us, please, during this time. We appreciate your patience. And lots of you did reach out to me after the first week, which was awesome, and gave me your blood sugar numbers and how they're going down. And that's what we're trying to do here, is just trying to teach you the truth about weight loss, how to get things regulated so you can cut through all the nonsense out there. You have to understand that weight loss business is a billion, if not trillion-dollar business. So everybody taps into it, tries to sell you the latest product, the latest, I don't know, the latest diet program, the latest cleanse, whatever it is. So to be able to, you know, tap into that huge market out there. So with January coming, that is why I decided to do this video, because I don't want you to get caught up in any of that nonsense. This is the way to lose weight. This is how your body physiologically lose weight. If you think back to a time, maybe when you were a child, or depending how old you are, definitely for when I was a child, the way we ate much less often than we do today. So that's a huge thing. We eat now, I mean, children of today, and even adults, we eat constantly. So the whole thing about eating every 2 hours to stoke your metabolism and all, and that's all nonsense. That came from the government, and or I don't honestly know who was the originator of it, but it was then put down by the government that this is the best way to eat, and that's where the food pyramid came from and all that stuff. It's probably the food manufacturers, obviously, where it probably came from, and I can say that to you here. Have to be careful what we say in other places. So, you know, we have to be careful of what is truth and what is a selling tactic. So I go through this with a lot of people because they bring the latest book to me. But what about this? They say this. So what I say with the book, what you have to do is look at the back of the book. So in the back of the book, there should be pages of resources that the author of this book got their information from. Those resources are well-studied information. So many of these books have no resources. It's mostly opinion, or it's the opinion of one person or one group. And that sometimes this happens in movies. They mention resources or studies, and I've actually tracked that through movies and went and looked for those research and study, and they're not there. So you have to be really careful about what you're doing to your body, because the more that you follow these things, take pills or take a drug or take the latest, I don't know what, or follow the latest diet or whatever it is, if it doesn't make sense to you, it's probably not factual. It may be such a reduction in calories that you will initially lose weight. You're going to gain it back. What we're showing you here is long-term sustainable weight loss, so that your body is healing from the inside out. So now it is different for every body. But if you do this consistently, you know, adding changes in, and we'll talk about some of those changes, such as variation, you can just keep going on with this lifestyle and have the weight be lost. So just, first of all, have patience with this process. This is new. I gave you a bunch of things to do last time, such as measuring your blood sugar, counting how many times a day you're putting food in your mouth, tracking what you're eating. So there were a lot of to-dos in the first week. So hopefully you did some of them. You may not have done all of them. So my advice for this week is, before we move on, go ahead and, if you know, the last week was blood sugar, only eating whole foods, tracking what you're eating. And we did that for a cell optimization. If you remembered, in the first week I showed you a picture of the cell. And it's for hormone optimization, because the hormone receptors reside on the cell membrane. So we need hormone optimization for weight loss. It's not about calorie counting, calorie restriction. Please try to get the thought process out of your head. It's so hard to break in some people. I've been working with some people for months, and they're still talking to me about calories, and it's just like, please don't talk about calories anymore. I'm so tired of hearing about that. It doesn't work like that anymore. It's hormone balance. So the most important hormone being insulin. So insulin, a lot of people think of insulin having to do with diabetes, but it's a weight loss hormone. We have probably almost 30 of them in our bodies. So they're signaling, and these hormones are messaging our brain that we're full or we're hungry or we had enough or too much or not enough water or more water, not enough water or more salt, not enough salt, and pH balance. If you think about what your body does in a day, it's incredible, and it needs all these messengers to help them, and that's our hormones. So hormones are not about female hormones. There are weight loss hormones, 30 of them. We're trying to balance those out for you. The main one is insulin. So with what we talked about last week was eating less times in the day. We talked about every time you eat, you're raising your insulin levels. If your insulin levels are raised throughout the day constantly and your body's swimming in insulin, your cells are going to shut down to protect themselves. So you become insulin resistant. And then blood sugar can't get brought into the cell anymore. That's insulin's job, is to transport the blood glucose into the cell from the blood. So if blood sugars are rising, that means that you're getting insulin resistant. So I see trends in people. I test their blood yearly, and the blood could be 95, and the next year it's 98, and the next thing you know, it's 101. Then it's 115, 117, 120, and just keeps going up and up and up because they aren't willing to make the changes that need to be made. So that's what we're doing here, is just trying to spoon feed you these changes that need to be made, and it doesn't have to all be done at once. Like I said, do as much as you can. I realize we're smack dab in the middle of the holidays, but this is the best time to do it. Don't give up because it's a holiday. The holiday is the day itself. You know, Thanksgiving is next Thursday. We're all going to eat, enjoy. We're going to be thankful most of all for everything we have and all the food that we can enjoy and the family that we're sitting around our tables. And that's the purpose of the holiday. It's not to gorge yourself until you can't move. So I always say, let's just stick to the real thing that's important about the holiday. Don't make everything surrounded around food, but don't be deprived either. So, like, I love apple pie. I don't eat apple pie all year long, but when Thanksgiving Day comes, I usually will have apple pie. And that's kind of how you get when you get into this lifestyle. You know, you don't eat those things all the time, but there are certain times of the year or certain times of maybe at your birthday. Like for me, my birthday, once a year, I eat Mexican food. It's just the thing I do on my birthday. So I have certain seasons and certain times where I look forward to these things. I don't have them all the time. They're not part of a healthy lifestyle, but you can have them once a year on your birthday, or you can have some apple pie on Thanksgiving, or maybe it's pecan pie, or you know, whatever it is, stuffing or mashed potatoes. Doesn't matter. Have it. Enjoy yourself, but get back the next day. So I tell everybody, Friday morning after Thanksgiving, fast as long as you can. Try to hold off. Two things are going to happen on Friday morning. One, you want to fast as long as you can and not start eating right away again, because that's when we get caught into this eating all the way up till Christmas. So stop it right away. You're going to crave food, especially if you eat carbohydrates and sugar on Thursday. You're going to crave that on Thursday. So you have to be cautious of that. Know you're going to get up with the sugar gremlins in your head and wanting more. It takes about 3 days to get those to be gone. So it's going to be tough. It'll be a tough weekend, but you'll get through it and get back. And then you know what? Get back on track. Just again, things that we've been talking about: measuring blood sugar, eating whole foods. We're going to talk today about eating less often, and just get back on track until the next holiday, whether it be Christmas or whatever holiday you celebrate in December. You know, make that day the day where you're going to have your next something special. And then we'll talk about New Year's. So you'll be way ahead of everybody else. You know, everybody else, I hate a give up attitude, and people give up at this time of year, and it drives me insane, because don't give up. You know, this is your life. This is your health. Like for me, it's not about, you know, I just want to be good all the time. It's not about that. It's about a health crisis that I suffer, and I have to be good. So if I go and eat on a tangent, my MS will come back. I still have MS. I just can't eat those inflammatory foods anymore, and I have to watch my blood sugar. I do this all the time. I've been measuring my blood sugar for about 3 years and eating this way in this lifestyle, and I've been the healthiest ever, with the highest energy ever. I'm in the best health of my life. It's because of this way of eating. So before, as you know, I have MS, and I can't just go off and eat. I mean, I can eat on the holiday, and I'm fine, but I can't go off and eat for a month and a half, and I won't be fine. You know, New Year's will come, and I will be debilitated and tired and not feeling well, and I don't know what can happen. Anything can happen. I just never want to inflame my body. I don't see anybody else inflame their body either. So, so today we wanted to talk about insulin and eating less often and the reason for that. So we don't want to snack constantly. We talked about that already. And just tracking how many times a day. So hopefully many of you did that, and tracking how many times a day you've eaten. Somebody sent me one that said they eat 27 times a day. They could not believe it. It's just so shocking. So what we're going to try to get you to is an eating window. That's something we'll talk about in future weeks is closing and having an eating window. So what I say the best way to eat less often so that you can become fat adapted is to, at night, after you eat dinner, close your eating window. So you close the window. Don't open it up again until the next day after 12, 14 hours has passed. That's when you'll open the window and you can eat again. And you want to eat, when you want to eat your meals, you want to eat till you're full. So if it's 3 meals or if it's 2 meals, you want to eat until you're full. And walk away full so that you can get to the next meal and eliminate snacking. So I've talked a lot about that. I think we've talked a lot about that, and there's not much more to say about it. It's just to eliminate snacking and to stop eating at night as early as you can. Whatever time you eat dinner, figure an hour or so later, stop eating, and then just eat breakfast the next morning. This isn't about calorie restriction. So again, I'm not counting calories. I don't care thing one about a calorie that you eat. It doesn't matter. Your body does not have a clock in it ticking off counting calories, just so you know that. There's nothing like that happening in your body. That was some false thing that was made up years ago, probably in some calorie counting program where you need to count calories. And it works because you are restricting what you're eating, and you're eating more cautiously, and that's really the reason why you lose weight, because you're eating better foods and you're being more careful with what you're eating. You're limiting sugar. So think about it. Any diet you've gone on, even if it's a calorie restricted diet, you're eating much better. That's why you lose weight. But unfortunately, it doesn't make permanent changes. So once you start eating again, you're going to wind up gaining the weight back. So that's why we're doing this in a way that will have longevity. And as the weeks go on, we talk about how to move moving parts, and how to move them, because we are all at different places. Some people, this is brand new. Some people have been intermittent fasting or fasting with me for a while. So intermittent fasting, I want to mention that to the people who've been with me for a while, and your intermittent fasting is no big deal. You do it all the time. So what I want you to do is I want you to kind of go back a little and shorten your intermittent fast. So you're probably without problem intermittent fasting 17, 18 hours. I want you to go back to 12 or 14, just a couple days a week. That's going to be your variation. That's going to be the thing that changes in you. Your body gets very used to, even if it's something as great as fasting or intermittent fasting, you can't do the same thing all the time. You have to learn that about your body. So that's the thing, and we'll talk about this in future weeks, diet variation. I used to be a vegan, vegetarian, fruitarian. I've been through it all. But you know what? Not one of those things is bad. They're all good. But the thing is, you have to vary it according to season and time. We're going into the winter months, and in the way our bodies were made in winter months, there wasn't much food. So they fasted quite often, or ate significantly less at that time. So that's kind of how you have to honor your body during this time, is eating and not eating as much, and fasting during that time. In springtime, it's more plentiful. They planted and harvest, and when the harvest came, they ate much more food, higher carbohydrates, especially in the summertime. You raise your carbohydrate intake because that's what our bodies are used to. So that's diet variation, and we'll talk about all that. But let's talk about fat adaptation, because that's where we left off in week 1. We were going to eat less, lower our carbs, track that, eat more healthy fats, moderate our protein, and that's how you become to get fat adapted. So when you cut out the snacking and you cut out the eating every 2 hour type thing, that's when your body depletes all the sugar in it. So you want to deplete all sugar or things that turn to sugar in your body. So you don't want to be eating white potatoes or rice or grains and things like that. Deplete those carbohydrates in your body, or glycogen stores in your body, so that you become fat adapted. And what that means is that if you're a sugar burner, you will need to eat every 2 hours, because if you don't, you may suffer from a hypoglycemic attack, or you get shaky, or you have to eat something. So if that's happening, you have blood sugar dysregulation, and you should definitely just send me an email with your sugar numbers, because that's probably a problem for you. So you want to go to just being sure that you can go and keep going a little bit further without eating and not having an effect of that. But as you decrease the carbohydrates, you decrease processed foods, you will be able to go longer time and become more fat adapted. So when you are fat adapted, you'll be eating less, and when you eat less, you raise growth hormone. And when you raise growth hormone, that's where hormone optimization comes in. So back again to the cell. When your cell is in better shape and the cell receptors, the hormone receptors on the cell, including insulin receptors and thyroid receptors or adrenal receptors, they can bring the hormone into the cell because you'll become more hormonally optimized. So that's what we're going for. So if you haven't been eating 3 meals a day, if you've been eating 27 times, get to 3 meals a day. That's what you need to do. If you're somebody who ate 3 meals a day, try a few times a week to go to 2 meals a day. And if you're somebody who's been with me for a while and only eats 2, maybe even 1 meal a day, try to scale it back. You have to go back to 2 meals a day, sometimes even 3 meals a day to get that variation in your body. And just email me if you want more specifics on that. But again, this is not calorie restriction. We are not counting calories. We are not going to go into starvation mode. I hate when I hear that too. There's nothing true about starvation mode. Fasting is completely different than starving. So your body has mechanisms in place when you don't eat for a certain amount of time. It kicks off many metabolic pathways that protect your body, protect muscle mass, protect everything. But actually at that time, your body will go after cells that, parts that aren't working anymore, and they will devour them and kind of consume them. It's called autophagy. And if you've never heard of autophagy, I suggest you look it up. There's so much research on it. A Nobel Prize was won in the study of autophagy, and it's P-H-A-G-Y. It's like autophagy is the way that it's spelled out, but that is what's happening. So your body starts to consume and kind of clean out these non-working parts of the cell or cells that are no longer working. When you do an intermittent fast and your hormones are optimized, your body cleans all this out. And that's what we want to do, because many people develop, and if you've worked with me, you know, we've talked about this, sensitivities to foods, certain foods they can't eat anymore because they ate them so much. So their immune systems have become hypervigilant to these foods. So you have to stop eating them for a while, but you need to clear out all those cells that are overreactive to these foods that you're eating, so that you can cure those food allergies or food sensitivities. So there's a way to do that, and you can achieve that the best way by what we're doing. So we're healing from the inside out with this. You will lose weight, but we're healing from the inside out, and weight loss becomes a natural side effect of it. We're creating metabolic flexibility in you. So when you don't eat so often, when you're not eating, you're causing stress on the mitochondria in your cell. And that's called metabolic flexibility, and you want to be that way. I always tell you, you don't want to get the body used to anything that you're doing. You want it to be kind of guessing at what you're doing next. You don't want it to fall into a rut and just you do the same thing every day. That's why I just said with people who have been intermittent fasting, even though it's fantastic, if you do it every day and never change, your body just gets adapted to it. Our bodies are amazing, and they adapt to all these things, good or bad. So we need to always be varying it up. And a lot of you heard me say that, vary it up. So if you're fasting every day, you want to cut back from fasting every day. If you're not fasting every day, we want to start fasting every day. If you fast breakfast every day, maybe you want to switch that up and, you know, fast from dinner, eat breakfast and lunch, but don't eat dinner. So that's what varying it up means. So by doing this, we are drastically decreasing inflammation in your body. We're forming the new cells, like I said, and we're getting rid of the old cells that are no good anymore, that don't work anymore, and cutting down on that, you know, hypervigilant or hypervigilant immune system or hyperreactive cells. So that you can, you know, function more normally, not like most of the world. So this is really such key information. The other thing right now with fasting is that when you don't eat, you're resting your digestive system and your gut. 80% of your immune system resides in your gut. So we're coming into what they call flu season right now. So you want to have a very strong gut, a very strong immune system. that's where it's going to happen in your gut. So you need a strong, healthy gut to have a strong, healthy immune system so that you can remain through these winter months without any sickness coming to you. And sickness is actually, we call in the chiropractic world like a healing crisis. So it's a time when if you're producing a lot of mucus or you're sick or get bronchitis and your body's producing this mucus, whether it be in your lungs or your nose or your throat, it's your body expelling all this junk kind of that we ate that is causing a problem in our body. So coming into this time, we want you again to recap everything. Eat clean, count your blood sugar, measure your blood sugar each day, eat less often, not less food. I'm not talking about calories here. I'm just saying eat less often. So 2 meals a day or 3 meals a day or 1 meal a day, depending where you are right now. We have multiple different people in this class with us, so we have a variation going on. So if you have any questions, definitely shoot me an email because I'm happy to answer them for you guys. So we're going to create a new immune system, and we're going to help our immunity for going into the winter months, decrease inflammation, optimize our hormones, fix our cells and cell membranes. There's a lot of great things happening here, so stick with us. And next week we're going to talk about diet variation. So I just mentioned that briefly, but we're going to get into more specifics with that. So if anybody's having a struggle with weight loss, if you've been at this for a while and you're having a hard time, or you're not losing weight anymore, which is a lot of people who came onto this class, we'll be talking about next week will be for you and talking about diet variation. I'm not sure when next week's video is going to get sent out because we will be closed for the Thanksgiving holiday. So maybe Monday or latest Tuesday of the following week. Okay, we're doing the best we can again to get this information out to you. It has been a challenge for us, that's for sure, but we're learning, and we'll keep learning. And again, we're going to repeat it again probably in the new year, and you're all going to be welcomed back to come. At no charge. You'll be included in that new class list. We're just going to build this class list so we can have advanced classes and things like that. So there's going to be a ton more information coming to you, but I did want to get you that information today for week 2. So let me know what questions you have, and I'll be happy to answer them, okay? So keep going, guys. You're doing great. Take care. Have a happy Thanksgiving also. Don't want to forget that. Happy Thanksgiving.